I found out why not only me, but most men don't reach their full potential because they have not learned this formula. This formula will cause you to reach your full potential. Anybody interested? I say, anybody interested? Yeah. Not 95, not 80, 100% of the time, this will work if you learn to work it. SQ is my belief about my identity and purpose. AQ is about capacity. If I can lock in identity and purpose, if I can become solid on who I am and why I exist, and I can hold that identity and purpose under extreme pressure, then it's just a matter of time before I execute life, leadership, and legacy. My family, my business, my personal life rest on my ability to remain who I am under extreme pressure. The character that I've been using to get to this level is not sufficient to get me to the next level. So what I had to do is switch out character. Because when I switch out character, I choose a new character that is designed to get me to the next level. You cannot get to the peak without first honoring the fact you got to master the pit. In 80s, there was no iPhones and taking pictures immediately. No, sir. There was this time where there was a dark room and you had to go into the dark room. It had to be dark so things could develop. Because if you turn the light on ahead of time, it ruins the picture that is emerging. If I can get you to master your sense of belief in your identity and purpose, and you can hold that belief under extreme pressure, then you'll be able to execute skillfully across life, family, and business.
Here we go live.
I wish I had 10 of y'all that would jump up and shout, because all you are is a character away from the next level of your life.
What's up, y'all? Good afternoon. I'm usually pretty jovial. Today, not so much. Do me a favor, let everybody know that we're on. Those of you that are on Facebook, say what's up to me. Just check in. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from. Those of you that are on LinkedIn, say hello to me. Those of you that are on YouTube, like, subscribe on YouTube so that we can boost our numbers there. Good afternoon to all of you. If you're on lunch, thank you for hanging out with me during your lunchtime. I am going to be talking to you guys about the tragic shooting that took place at the Christiana Hospital Wilmington campus. I've got a different kind of look at it. Hey, Gina, good to see you. I've got a different thought about it, but I'd like to also hear your thoughts about it. And I have a different thought about it because of the work that I do. So admittedly, hey, Dwight, admittedly, I am passionate right? I'm passionate about, let's see here. I'm passionate about seeing the challenges solved, or at least helping men to solve their own challenges. And so I have a very unique perspective as it relates to, and some of what I'm going to say is going to pain you a little bit. It's going to pain you. And it's okay. All of us don't think alike. All of us don't view things the same way. And so it's absolutely okay. Like um so there's a 23-year-old male, who was working at the Christiana Care Wilmington campus. For those of you that don't know who I am, I don't take for granted that everybody knows who I am. I'm Donald Morton. I'm the founder of Remand. At Remand, we help men interrupt patterns, break behaviors, disrupt behaviors, break the vicious cycles of missed potential, so that they, as men, can master life, leadership, and legacy at the same time. Their personal lives, their family lives, their business lives, all at the same time. A couple of days ago, I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia now. Actually, the outskirts of Atlanta, but you guys will know Atlanta better than if I told you where I actually am. My heart, the pain in my chest as a man, seeing what came across my phone, was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Gina says, I live right here by the hospital, but I have worked in the hospital, and that thing was always my biggest fear. So you'll understand a bit about why I'm going to say some of the things that I'm going to say today. You'll understand a bit about why I'm going to say some of the things I'm going to say today. Across the country and around the world, you're going to begin to hear calls for gun control and all of those things. And listen, you guys can have that argument. Like I'm not here to have that argument. I think that there are some good arguments to be had about that, and I think there are some challenging arguments to be had about that. But I'm not here to rehash policy that ultimately goes nowhere. I'm not interested in doing that. I want to spend a bit of my time genuinely. Thank you, Dwight. I want to spend a bit of my time just kind of acknowledging the life of the 19-year-old young man that was killed. I want to acknowledge the sacredness of his life. I want to acknowledge that that young man is gone too soon, that he is gone unnecessarily. And I am in pain about that. Gina, you're right on my street. Um, I also want to acknowledge the young man, 19 years old, who was also shot. And the last I saw, this could have changed, but the last I saw, that young man was in critical condition. I want to acknowledge those lives, the life of the young man that was lost and the life of the young man that hangs in the balance. I want to acknowledge both of those young men. All of my kids are grown. And I can't tell you the level of pain I would feel if I had to bury my children. The way that life is supposed to work is one dead, one critical. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. The way that life is supposed to work is that children are supposed to bury their parents. Critical but stable. My wife says having a 21-year-old son, it's disturbing. It's disturbing. My wife, I think, would also agree with what Gina just said, that it's not just the gun. It's not just having access to guns. It really is. My wife is a mental health professional. She has worked in the field for decades. As it relates to mental health, she is far more astute than I am. I know what I know, but she knows much more. Gina says, I have 3 boys, 25, 21, and 18. Yeah, so you get it, right? Gina, like we're not supposed to, as parents, bury our young men, our young women. Our young women and young men should be burying us. I buried my mom, or her remains. In February, she passed away, transitioned, went to be with the Lord February the 4th, 2023, 3 years ago. My mom, I had the privilege of serving my mom during her last days and ultimately holding her hand when she took her last breath. And my mom was a woman who knew what she wanted. She first got ill. She said, I'm out of here, son. I was like, oh no. Right? I wasn't ready. She was ready. When I was hit with cancer 12 years ago, she prayed for me because it was out of order for her to bury me. It was in order for me to bury her. That's the way it's supposed to happen. But I want to touch on what Gina said. And don't come for me until you hear everything that I'm going to say about it. Because what I'm about to say is going to be hard to hear. What I'm about to say is going to be hard to hear. So I acknowledge that what I'm about to say is going to be hard to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, you better stop ignoring the mental health of adult males, particularly adult Black males. I did some postgraduate work. I was a fellow of Princeton Theological Seminary in 2015. And one of my professors, I was a part of the Black Theology and Liberation, Black Theology and Liberation Institute, PTLI, fellow in 2015 at Princeton, New Jersey. And one of my professors made such a profound statement that with all of the trauma, Gina said, my baby brother was killed 2 years ago. He was not just my baby brother. He was my child. I'm 12 years older than him. My mom was a single mom that played no games. You're going to have to take seriously. It seems like we're taking seriously. Every time something like this happens, we do vigils, and we should. We release balloons, and we should. And we have rallies, and we should. And we release doves, and we should. That's the question, Lala. When these issues happen, what is disturbing to me is how all of the attention, and I am not saying that the attention should not be placed on those that have been victimized by crime. What I am saying, though, is that to continue to pay attention to those who have been victimized by crime and pay no attention to those who are victimizing. One of the things that my wife taught me, Gina, as a mental health professional, is that many times those who are committing crimes have had crimes committed against them. And yet we continue to act like all I got to do is lock them up. All I got to do is lock them up, remove them from society. And it doesn't have to be something as significant as this, right? Yes, Trey. Yes. Like it doesn't have to be something as significant as the issue that just happened at the Christiana Hospital Wilmington campus. Doesn't that, like when do we get, Gina? When do we get, Trey? When do we get, Dwight, the fact that like that didn't just happen? Okay, so let me be clear about something. This is where I need my wife to either push back, Gina, you push back, or embrace or balance what I'm about to say. That incident that took place where a young Black male, 23 years old, from what I understand, loses his internship. He gets fired. He was an IT intern. He gets fired. Excuse me. And then he leaves, comes back, and kills a 19-year-old male and shoots one that is in critical but stable position. That incident didn't just happen. My wife says they too have a story. They too have been traumatized or once violated. They have a story. I want to shout out my guy Corey Wilkerson. He's one of my favorite brothers in the world. I love that guy. Here's what he says: it didn't just happen, and oftentimes we were connected, sitting next to, working out next to, eating next to a person who is on the brink of the same action. It's so much deeper than what he did. Let me put this. Let me put that up there. I want you guys to know. I want you guys to see that it didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. And what Corey said is so true. What my wife said earlier is so true. What Gina is saying and Trey is saying and Dwight is saying, all of it is so true. Hey, y'all, we act like that incident hadn't been happening. Like there's an origin of that incident with that young man that people sat next to him. God, I can't say it any better than what Corey just said. Like we ate next to him. We sat next to him in the gym. We talked to him. I've been listening to interviews and people say he was a nice young man, somewhat introverted. Yeah, because we are not paying attention. Especially to young Black males. We just say, hey, lock him up. And again, for those, Trey says there were steps and events that occurred well before this happened that either were enabled or ignored. Gina said the program he was in is for people with special needs. So this child already had a battle he was fighting. And watch this. Do you know, Gina, and I'm sure you would agree with me. I'm sure my wife would agree with me. Do you know that my wife talks to me about this all the time. You know how many people are out there undiagnosed? People who haven't seen a psychologist, people who haven't seen a psychiatrist, people who haven't seen a mental health. And we're acting like the victims are the only victims. Can somebody type that in the chat if you agree with me? The victims aren't the only victims. The victims aren't the only victims. I can tell you that there are people who are not receiving mental health services, and it's difficult to get mental health services. And even when you get them, like healthcare, all of the things, I need you guys to know just how much undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. So again, I want to go back to the fact that I'm saying my chest hurts for the young man whose life was taken. And my chest hurts for the young man, 19 years old, who is in critical condition. My chest hurts for them. But hear me when I tell you, And hear me when I tell you, not but, and hear me when I tell you, my chest hurts for the young man that pulled the trigger. And there are going to be people that watch this live, and they're going to watch it and they're going to say, too soon, Donald, too soon, too soon. Like, let's honor those who have been deceased. Let me tell you something. For everyone who says too soon, don't talk about him yet, too soon. Don't talk about him yet, too soon. Don't talk about him yet. Maybe, just maybe, we would have seen him sooner. Maybe, just maybe, if we would have seen him sooner. We can't ignore him. There's one of the favorite African proverbs is this proverb. When a child is not embraced by the village, he will burn it down to feel its warmth. Listen to that. When a child is not embraced by the village, that child will burn it down to feel its warmth. Corey Wilkerson says it is Men's Mental Health Month, and so many are not caring for that month, talking about what it means for men, Black men, our kids, our brothers, our husbands, our friends. How many companies are laying people off every day? Where do people go after they receive that news? Stop texting, start hugging, stop judging, start being curious, stop just praying and pull up. What Corey said. Dwight said his heart aches. And of course, I don't want to get into, I want to keep the main thing for this live, the main thing. The hospital's fault, I can see some of that. But I want to keep the main thing here, that the truth of the matter is we have a young Black man at 23 years old who is now forever incarcerated. And I want to know how many, God, Corey said it, how many more are there out there? Not that will go, Gina, right inside a hospital or library or something like that. I want to know how many are out there on the edge, on the edge, on the edge. And one more feather added to that pressure, it's over. So this is, yes, sir, Corey. The African proverb is, when a child is not embraced by the village, that child will burn the village down to feel its warmth. When a child is not embraced by the village, it will burn it down to feel its warmth. The child will burn that village down. I want to be seen. I want to be noticed. I want to be embraced. To your point, I want to be hugged. I want to feel significant. I want to know who I am. I want to know what my purpose is. And what's happening is we are raising a generation of young men who have no idea who they are. They have no idea why they're here, and they fold under an extreme amount of pressure that Black men are under every single day. And we're acting like this kind of thing is not going to happen. It's going to happen for as long as we ignore the needs of Black men. As long as we ignore the needs of Black men, as long as we rush past what Gina has said and what my wife has said, what Trey has said, what Dwight has said, what Corey has said, as long as we rush past that and let's get him to trial. Why? Because we gotta make sure that he goes to jail. I get it. I'm not excusing that. He did it. He should go to jail. I'm that guy. I'm that guy who believes if you do the crime, the consequences are the consequences. But I'm also that guy who says you better understand the undercurrent, because if you don't learn from him, somebody else on the edge, y'all, somebody else out there on the edge, somebody else out there on the edge, somebody else out there on the edge, someone else out there is on the edge. How many of our kids are young men going their rooms for hours and hours? The emergency is in your house. It's in our families, not with Diddy, not with Will Smith, not on social media. It's in our houses. Black men are always looked at as the bad guy. And I'm not an escapist. When Black men do crimes, when any man does a crime, whatever that crime is. Now, not all crimes are created equal, right? And so some of the crimes for which men are in jail right now, man, come on, man. You know where you should be in jail. So I wanted to hop on and really talk about this because I want to call on, and these guys are all friends of mine. So I'm not saying this because I'm trying to call anybody on the carpet, but I am. I am a native Delawarean. A native Delawarean. Matt Meyer, governor. Marcus Henry, Newcastle County exec. John Carney, mayor. Trippy Congo, Wilmington City Council president. Monique Johns, Newcastle County president. Pay attention to the needs of men. Because your society, our society at this point, and many people will disagree, but just listen to what I'm saying to you. Our society at this point is a direct mirrored image. It is a reflection of the health and state of the men in our communities. The strength of every nation is determined by its male population. If the male population is unhealthy, the society will be unhealthy. I am for, so I'm not one of these guys who say down with women, up with men. I ain't him. I'm not that guy. But what I will say to you is this, that as our sisters elevate, and I'm excited to see our sisters elevate, as our sisters elevate, if you don't pay attention to men, the elevation of our sisters will do great wonders for the elevation of that sister. But if a society is going to elevate, if a society is going to heal, if a society is going to become whole, That society doesn't become whole unless and until you pay attention to the foundation of that society, and the foundation of that society is men. That young man needed someone to step into his world and do what Corey called be curious. Don't judge him, ask questions. In sociological terms, they call it bracketing. Suspend your personal ideology, your default ideology around what a black man is. Is he a criminal? Suspend all of that for the sake of being curious enough to ask a question. So what I want to do is I want to say to everyone here, the urgency of this moment, I don't want to miss. The urgency, the absolute urgency of this moment, I will not mismanage. Donald, what are you saying? Here's what I'm saying. This is what we've come to discover over 30 years. This is what I know about men. This is not what I think about men. This is not what I'm guessing about men. This isn't what I'm reading about men. This is the way it works. We have to help men lock in on their sense of who they are and why they exist. We have to build their capacity to handle extreme pressure, because unfortunately in this country, extreme pressure is a part of your existence. You cannot get away from it. You're going to have to learn to face it, learn to hold it, so that you can continue to do all that you need to do and want to do in your personal life, your family life, your business life, your community life. Pressure is not going away. So we talk a lot about these terms, conflict resolution, all of those kinds of things. All that sounds good. But Trey said it. Trey said, look, this started sometime before that. Dr. Stan Harris, great to have you on, my guy. Thank you. So it all sounds good. Conflict resolution, sit down and talk. But there is a daily game that can be played so that when that extreme pressure shows up, that man is prepared for extreme pressure so he doesn't snap, he doesn't break. There are some tools that he can be given to make sure this thing doesn't happen as often. I'm not going to solve all of it forever. Not going to solve all of it forever. Coach, you're going to have to type your info in the chat, man, because I'm not going to be on here long. So I've got another meeting coming up. So I'm not bringing anyone onto this live. So what I need every man to understand, and what I need every elected official to understand, because here's a deal to Gina's point. Like, I'm all talked out. Transformation for men is needed. It's needed in this moment. It's needed right now. Like I see a lot of groups. Let's just sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's have the kumbaya moment. Let miss me with all that right now, right? A part of look at what Walter Sellers says. The child killed, 19 years old, was his employee's son. Look at what else. Look at what else he says. He was supposed to work for me. Life cut short by someone who could not manage the pressure. So it wasn't just the firing. It wasn't just that. I'm sure that was the feather. That was that last straw that broke the camel's back. It was that last straw. But there was something happening up to that point. And it doesn't have to be anything significant. It's a cumulative effect. This is what I'm saying to y'all. I'm calling every man, Dr. Stan, Walter, Corey, Dwight. I've already been in conversation with several pastors. Time to work. You know, when I started Remand, Dr. Stan Harris says we had Pal Police Athletic League that we went to after school to play ball and learn martial arts, which they taught us self-discipline, which changed my life. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I was a part of the Goseiru Goju program at William Hicks Anderson, Sensei Buddy Gray, Sensei Amin Hassan. So you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. But let me tell you something. I think you will agree with me, Dr. Stan. This generation a bit different. The needs are a bit different. Playing basketball ain't the answer anymore. These are mental health crises. These are mental health. But what I don't want you guys to get lost in, and you feel free to tell me what your thoughts are, right, Gina, right, Dr. Stan? Like what I don't want us to get lost in is to think that building another community center where they can play basketball and have cooking classes are the answer. This is such a bigger issue. This is not that. We're not dealing with young men who can go play basketball and get their anger under control. These are mental health issues. And mental health issues, my wife has taught me, mental health issues are not just the big ones that we know, right? It's not just bipolar or schizophrenia or depression. It's not just those kinds of things. We're talking about other things that we just kind of let go. We think they're normal. And so because we've normalized them, we don't really pay attention to them. I can't get away with what Corey said. He said, we're no longer curious. Coach Walter Sellers says, you're right, fam. It's bigger than another community center. And I'm for community centers, but it's bigger than that. So my wife says, what's the call to action? The call to action is that we have developed at Remand a curriculum to be able to stabilize adult males. Now, we don't have a curriculum for kids. We don't. That's not our wheelhouse. When we first started Remand, so Gina says, but if kids had a place to go and someone to look up to and talk to, they have places to go. They have the William Hicks Anderson Community Center still there. PAL's still there. Those places still exist. Kingswood, still there. The issues are not just whether or not there are buildings. The issue is what's happening inside those buildings, and whether or not, again, Gina, to your point earlier, whether or not we're taking mental health seriously. Got it. Good work, man. Appreciate you. So I need you, Dr. Stan, to connect with me. Just DM me. If you're watching on Facebook, I want you to DM me. We need to talk. There's a full curriculum that Remand has that I want in every community center. I want in every church. Why? Because I'm trying to get rich off of pain. Hell no. But because there is a real crisis and Remand has an answer. We have the playbook. We have a playbook. We know how it works. Transformation is possible. Transformation is possible. So, everyone that is watching, I'm going to be hosting an online meeting. Some other people will be on the meeting, names that you know in Delaware. Some are in other places, because we are dealing with, quite frankly, a global issue. Yeah. But I am interested in who's doing the shooting. Right. So the challenge is the one that's doing the shooting. Until we can get to the minds and hearts and cause transformation for them, we will see more and more happening. So if you're interested in sitting down, having a meeting, and deploying, I'm not interested in meeting just for meeting's sake. I'm met out. I'm interested in meeting and then deployment, meeting and then deployment. So everyone that has an ear of an elected official, everyone that has an ear of a pastor, a community member, a community leader, tell them time to work. Thank you all for spending time with me today. I've got another meeting at 1, so I've got to go. For all that have been engaged, Gina, thank you. Dwight, thank you. Corey, thank you. Lala, thank you. Trey, thank you. Dr. Stan, thank you. I want to thank everybody. Walter, Coach Walter Sellers, thank you. I want to thank everybody that's been a part of this. Time to work. Hop in my DMs. Let's work.